This game features some disturbing concepts and imagery. If this is a concern for your mental health, please tread carefully. So if anyone's just joined recently, Yuri tried to do the same thing yesterday, and Monica doped that. Yuri wanted to hang out and chat with me a little bit at the end of the previous day, and Monica just deleted that option, basically. Just to see what he thinks of his time here and all that. It's important to me, as president. Yuri looks a little troubled, but she doesn't protest. Okay. I trust your judgment, Monica. That's your first mistake. In that case, I'll see the two of you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Monica waves as Yuri exits the classroom. Hectic is a word you could use to describe it. Sure. How do you voice a tilde, County Kittens? By kind of trailing up at the end. It's kind of implying a bit of a cutesy or kind of warble to the maybe like a little bit of a trail off, but trail upwards kind of. And yeah, slightly songish, not like you're actually singing, but a little melodic. Phew. Things have been a bit hectic lately, haven't they? Twinge, I just wanted to make sure you're enjoying your time at this club. I would really hate to see you unhappy. I feel kind of like I'm responsible for that, as president. I was waiting for the music to drop. But I really do care about you, you know? I don't like seeing the other girls give you a hard time. With how mean Natsuki is and everything. And Yuri being a little bit, you know. Sometimes it feels like you and I are the only real people here. You know what I mean? But it's weird, because in all the time you've been here, we've hardly gotten to spend any time together. I mean, I guess it's technically only been a couple of days. Sorry, I didn't mean to say something weird. There are just some things I've been hoping to talk about with you. Things I know only you could understand. So that's why... Wait, not yet! No! Okay. I don't see anything else new in the files. You know, just taking another quick gander at the files and stuff. Happy thoughts, everybody. Happy thoughts. Alright, maybe it was Monica communicating with us then. Just, you know, just pondering, the situation and, So Monica seems to be fully in control of herself directly, but is not in control of her environment. Yuri and Natsuki are not in control at all. Sayori wasn't in control at all, but is now in control from inside the system, as it were. And yeah, I mean, we've been streaming 9 hours. Like, we are done for the night. I'm just kind of discussing thoughts of the current situation and where we're at and stuff. No matter how many times you play, it's all the same. Monika's trying to talk to me about the fact the two of us are the only real people here, but the game cut her off. Sayori's been trying to fight her way out of being deleted. Monika's poem involves the phrase delete her. Both Loop 1 and Loop 2 Monika's poems were titled Save Me. So we're slowly building up evidence along the Monika's a different kind of puppet train, as it were. Like, it's obvious she's not the same kind of puppet Natsuki and Yuri are. But she's still looking for help in some fashion. It's still unclear if it's actually Monika that was asking for help quite directly, or if that was, say, Sayori hijacking the text box as was available. We've still got the 4 here. Choose not to blame myself for their actions. All I did was untie the knot. Yeah, good luck sleeping. Alright, so anyway, I guess we are gonna hop back into this Doki stuff. We're gonna be talking about stuff for a little while, kind of before launching the game again, though. We are gonna talk about some stuff. I have not launched the game again or looked anything up or anything like that since the last stream, but I did look over the files again and collect all of the poetry. So let's talk about some things. So one of the first things I kind of thought about after last stream was specifically the ahaha here in the traceback text file here, the little message there. But I looked at it a little more closely, and like a lot of people ahaha, which might be meaningful, it might not. It might just be like what writing style they're used to doing or whatever, but it draws some connections which are potentially interesting. So, I mean, the default, the first thing I thought was, of course, like, Monika definitely does an ahaha sort of laugh, and that's what we have here. But notably, Yuri also does the same exact ahaha laugh, and so does Twinge. Twinge, Yuri, and Monika all do that same ahaha laugh exactly. Sayori does an ee-hee-hee sort of laugh, so she's different. I couldn't actually find a Natsuki laugh to compare, so she doesn't do as much, but if she laughs, we'll try to make a note of that. But so that is a potentially interesting little tidbit there. Let's see, what were my other random notes? We got that. Oh yeah. So Monika, after one of her poems specifically talks about how the spacing in her poems can like define their meaning like magic. And this game's written in Python, and that's true of the Python programming language. White space matters for Python. So I found that pretty interesting. Let's see, Monica, this was like, I didn't like rewatch all my VODs or anything, but I was catching the, writing down the poetry from it, and this line definitely stood out as an interesting one there, that Monica talked about the poetry being like a conversation with the reader. It definitely stands out that the poetry is a medium for communication that is somewhat removed from the rest of the game. So that's an interesting thing. This was probably nothing really like that matters, but Yuri was talking about how Natsuki's preferences for poetry were biased. It could mean they are different beyond, like, physically different in some fashion, but I don't know, that one's pretty weak. There is a very, like, clear distinction that both Yuri and Natsuki, like, don't have other friends, and like that it kind of makes them feel more artificial. So that's kind of interesting. This I don't know about this comment at all. I just like wrote down some random thoughts, like I said. Okay, it's possible like Twinge is an antagonist. Like this is just like kind of an interesting random thought. Nothing that I'm like too confident in by any means, but Twinge is like possibly has motives very different from my own. We'll put it that way. Okay, so let's see. The final note was that like it's very clear that there's an entity communicating directly through poems. I'm trying to kind of figure it out, and like this will probably become clear as we play a little more. There's like very clearly one or more entities like communicating through poetry that like in a way that they are potentially incapable of doing through the rest of the game. Let's see, I wanted to reload the 9.3 save file, we'll figure that out. This down here was just the differences between Monica's third poem, Loop 1 and Loop 2. It's just vowels that are missing and one word and a few words that are capitalized, so that was like sine, cosine, tangent, and then 2 words replaced, and then of course that part right there at the end. Anyway, how about we review literally all of the poetry? Does that sound like the correct choice? Because we're doing it. Okay. So, Hole in the Wall. This was Monica's first poem, Loop 1. This poem is pretty big now. Like, I mean, it was already like a little creepy and interesting before, but it means more now, I would say. It couldn't have been me. See, the direction that spackle protrudes. A noisy neighbor? An angry boyfriend? I'll never know. I wasn't home. I peer inside for a clue. No, I can't see. I reel, blind, like a film left out in the sun. But it's too late. My retinas, that last just kind of always amusing, already scorched with a permanent copy of the meaningless image. It's just a little hole. It wasn't too bright. It was too deep, stretching forever into everything. A hole of infinite choices. I realize now that I wasn't looking in. I was looking out, and he, on the other side, was looking in. So, I'm almost definitely he. That's the most important thing here. Hi, I'm looking in from the other side of the monitor. I am almost definitely he. This will become clear. Actually, we'll skip to Monica's Loop 2 poem in just a second here. So, they're blinded by looking out through the colors of the monitor, and there's also this recurring, they're meaningless. The meaningless is very recurring in Monica's poetry as well. So I'm gonna skip down to Monica's Loop 2 poem. Still called Hole in Wall, but this is a continuation of the first poem. It just like picks up right where it left off. But he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frantically glance at my surroundings, but my burned eyes can no longer see color. Are there others in this room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrawling playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen. So, this has a few noteworthy things. There's other people with her, but like they might not be real, right? Like, so that's like further implication that Monica is a far more real person than Yuri Natsuki or Sayori for that matter. And this is like the game being closed or breaking in some fashion. And this is me again. And this is the determination to keep communicating. Find a way out. And Brandish My Pen further emphasizes the communication via poetry specifically. But we've also had the communication via files here as well. So that's those are potentially the most interesting poems plot-wise that we have here. So that was Monica's first Loop 1 and first Loop 2 poems there. So I'd say the other early day poems are probably not that plot meaningful, but you know, we might as well go through the poetry while we're being poets here. Let's just run with it, right? So this was Natsuki's Day 1 Loop 1 poem. Eagles can fly, monkeys can climb, crickets can leap, horses can race, owls can seek, cheetahs can run, eagles can fly, people can try. But that's about it. The wordplay, as Natsuki described it. This is Sayori's, whoever she was, Loop 1, Day 1 poem. Dear sunshine, the way you glow through my blinds in the morning, it makes me feel like you missed me. Kissing my forehead to help me out of bed, making me rub the sleepy from my eyes. Are you asking me to come out and play? Are you trusting me to wish away a rainy day? I look above. The sky is blue. It's a secret, but I trust you too. If it wasn't for you, I could sleep forever. But I'm not mad. I want breakfast. So that's the most ominous line from that one there, referring to I guess Twinge as sunshine. Like I have to differentiate Twinge and me. Those are two different things. Those are two very different things. Like again, like and we could easily be reading too much into it. But what's the fun of like a game based around poetry if we're not reading too much into things, right? But yeah, it's basically like you're the only reason she gets up in the morning, and without you, she could sleep forever. So there's still that subtext there, and it really does not come up. Like, this is one of the few things that didn't come off creepy to start with, and now it is. So yeah. Here's Yuri's Day 1 Loop 1 poem. Ghost under the light. The tendrils of my hair illuminate beneath the amber glow. Bathing. It must be this one. The last remaining streetlight to have withstood the test of time. The last yet to be replaced by the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe. Calm, breathing air of the present, but living in the past. The light flickers. I flicker back. Nothing too noteworthy here. I still like the line, I flicker back, and kind of the general concept of air of the present, living in the past and stuff. I don't really like the meter and pacing of the poem, but I like the feel of the poem otherwise. Alright, this is Natsuki's Day 2. You know what I heard about Amy? That Amy likes spiders. Icky, wriggly, hairy, ugly spiders. That's why I'm not friends with her. Amy has a cute singing voice. I heard her singing my favorite love song. Every time she sang the chorus, my heart would pound to the rhythm of the words. But she likes spiders. That's why I'm not friends with her. One time, I hurt my leg really bad. Amy helped me up and took me to the nurse. I tried not to let her touch me. She likes spiders, so her hands are probably gross. That's why I'm not friends with her. Amy has a lot of friends. I always see her talking to people. She probably talks about spiders. What if her friends start to like spiders too? That's why I'm not friends with her. It doesn't matter if she has other hobbies. It doesn't matter if she keeps it private. It doesn't matter if it doesn't hurt anyone. It's gross. She's gross. The world is better off without spider lovers. And I'm gonna tell everyone. So this almost reads more like a children's story than a poem, I would say, but it's... I don't think there's terribly much more to read into that. And feel free to play along, by the way, in chat, of course, if you want to read too much into everything, too. Feel free to hop on board. Alright, Sayori's day 2 is, you know, it's pretty creepy. And further, I guess, foreshadows her fate to some extent. Bottles. I pop off my scalp like the lid of a cookie jar. It's the secret place where I keep all my dreams. Little balls of sunshine, all rubbing together like a bundle of kittens. I reach inside with my thumb and forefinger and pluck one out. It's warm and tingling, but there's no time to waste. I put it in a bottle to keep it safe. And I put the bottle on the shelf with all the other bottles. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts and bottles, all in a row. My collection makes me lots of friends. Each bottle a starlight to make amends. Sometimes my friend feels a certain way. Down comes a bottle to save the day. Night after night, more dreams. Friend after friend, more bottles. Deeper and deeper my fingers go. Like exploring a dark cave, discovering the secrets hiding in the nooks and crannies. Digging and digging, scraping and scraping. I blow dust off my bottle caps. It doesn't feel like time elapsed. My empty shelf could use some more. My friends look through my locked front door. Finally, all done. I open up, and in come my friends. In they come in such a hurry. Do they want my bottles that much? I frantically pull them from the shelf, one after the other, holding them out to each and every friend. Each and every bottle. But every time I let one go, it shatters against the tile between my feet. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts in shards all over the floor. They were supposed to be for my friends who aren't smiling. They're all shouting, pleading, something. But all I hear is echo, 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 echo. Inside my head. Okay, so that was Sayori's day 2. And then we've got Monica's day 2. Unsurprisingly, also has further meaning I missed the first time. Save me. The colors, they won't stop. Bright, beautiful colors. Flashing, expanding, piercing. Red, green, blue. An endless cacophony of meaningless noise. The noise, it won't stop. Violent, grating waveforms. Squeaking, screeching, piercing. Sine, cosine, tangent. Like playing a chalkboard on a turntable. Like playing a vinyl on a pizza crust. An endless poem of meaningless And then at the very bottom, load me. So the most, well, here, I guess first we'll compare this to the other one here. But yeah, so first, like, this is what we had over here, the difference between the two. So this was Monica's day 2. She used the same poem, but now cacophony is capitalized, stop is capitalized, stop is missing up here. Lots of vowels are missing, I just wrote them in this version. Sine, cosine, tangent is capitalized, but then, like playing a knife on a breathing rib cage. And now it says, delete her instead of load me. So that's the differences between those poems there. Yeah, I had started like writing down the letters that were different, but it's like purely vowels. I don't think there's any particular meaning or hidden message from the removed letters there. But obviously, so the biggest thing I missed first time is red, green, blue! Red, green, blue! It's pixels! It's pixels! I'm like disappointed in myself for not noticing that the first time, but yeah, that was the big thing I noticed when I reread this poem, the red, green, blue. But like I said, that builds on the first one, like how I was saying, how it's gonna become more obvious that she's looking out through the monitor. That there you go, red, green, blue is all the proof I need, right there. But once again, we have the kind of meaningless theme, and just further emphasis on just the noise of being inside the system, or whatever. Alright, the raccoon. This is Yuri's day 3, or is this still day 2? Probably should have labeled them. This is Yuri's day 2. Okay. This is Yuri's day 2, loop 1 poem. It happened in the dead of night while I was slicing bread for a guilty snack. My attention was caught by the scuttering of a raccoon outside my window. That was, I believe, the first time I noticed my strange tendencies as an unordinary human. I gave the raccoon a piece of bread, my subconscious well aware of the consequences. Well aware that a raccoon that is fed will always come back for more. The enticing beauty of my cutting knife was the symptom. The bread, my hungry curiosity. The raccoon, an urge. The moon increments its phase and reflects that much more light off my cutting knife. The very same light that glistens in the eyes of my raccoon friend. I slice the bread, fresh and soft. The raccoon becomes excited. Or perhaps I'm merely projecting my emotions onto the newly satisfied animal. The raccoon has taken to following me. You could say that we've gotten quite used to each other. The raccoon becomes hungry more and more frequently, so my bread is always handy. Every time I brandish my cutting knife, the raccoon shows me its excitement. A rush of blood. Classic Pavlovian conditioning. I slice the bread, and I feed myself again. So, yeah, this was, just creepy in the sense that, like, talking about knives this intently can be pretty creepy the first time, but now we know, it's more strongly on board, her situation. Yeah, I mean, that's really, it's just, like, not particularly complex metaphor for the fact Yuri cuts herself. Like, that's what it is. Like, the raccoons are urged to cut herself, there's rush of blood, you got all of that going on. So, I don't think there's particularly too much beyond that, but there you go. So Monica's, day 3. The Lady Who Knows Everything. An old tale tells of a lady who wanders earth. The lady who knows everything. A beautiful lady who has found every answer, all meaning, all purpose, and all that was ever sought. And here I am.
a feather, lost adrift the sky, victim of the currents of the wind. Day after day I search with little hope, knowing legends don't exist. But when all else has failed me, when all others have turned away, the legend is all that remains, the last dim star glimmering in the twilit sky, until one day the wind ceases to blow. I fall, and I fall and fall, and fall even more, gentle as a feather, a dry quill, expressionless. But a hand catches me between the thumb and forefinger, the hand of a beautiful lady. I look at her eyes and find no end to her gaze. The lady who knows everything knows what I am thinking. Before I can speak, she responds in a hollow voice. I have found every answer, all of which amount to nothing. There is no meaning. There is no purpose. And we seek only the impossible. I am not your legend. Your legend does not exist. And with a breath, she blows me back afloat, and I pick up a gust of wind. So, I'm not sure exactly how to read too much into this one. it's harder to. So once again, we've got the emphasis that there's either something is meaningless or everything's meaningless. Like, that is a very recurring theme in Monika's poetry. Thumb and forefinger I highlighted specifically just because Sayori's poem uses that same phrase, I believe. Yeah, with my thumb and forefinger, pluck it out. And that's just not that common of a way to describe things. Sure, but it's specifically thumb and forefinger, not thumb and index finger, not my fingers, or not I just grab, but specifically thumb and forefinger is used both times. So, once again, we're in that boat of, do we think that that's just like habits of the writer, the author of the game that, wrote all of this, assumedly. So therefore things will tend to be similar because of that, or if it was intentional because of reasons. So it's hard to say on that front. But so the overall gist here is that she's seeking why. She's seeking reason, right? She keeps finding everything to be meaningless, but is still trying to find answers. And by she, it's a little complicated because Monika may not be exactly the same as the entity, but it's easiest to just treat them as the same thing right now, even though I'm not at all confident that's the case. So, and like I mentioned earlier, there might be multiple. It might be because there's multiple entities. I don't know. We'll hopefully find out eventually. You may or may not have actually found someone that told her there's no meaning, but that could be the other entity in that case, if we, again, are trying to kind of read too much into everything. The writing about writing, yeah, that's possible. I mean, notably, she describes herself as a quill after describing herself as a feather, so once again, emphasizing the writing aspect of it here. So that's a pretty reasonable way to read into it here. But yeah, that probably does it for that poem. Then Yuri and Natsuki agreed to write about the same subject for day 3, so they wrote about beaches. This is Yuri's beach poem. Beach. A marvel millions of years in the making, where the womb of Earth chaotically meets the surface. Under a clear blue sky, an expanse of bliss, but beneath gray rolling clouds, an endless enigma. The easiest world to get lost in is one where everything can be found. One can only build a sandcastle where the sand is wet, but where the sand is wet, the tide comes. Will it gently lick at your foundations until you give in? Or will a sudden wave send you crashing down in the blink of an eye? Either way, the outcome is the same. Yet we still build sandcastles. I stand where the foam wraps around my ankles, where my toes squish into the sand. The salty air is therapeutic. The breeze is gentle, yet powerful. I sink my toes into the ultimate boundary line, tempted by the foamy tendrils. Turn back, and I abandon my peace to a road at the shore. Drift forward, and I return to Earth forevermore. Forcing a beach episode, typical anime. That's, So, we see the word tendrils used again, same as in her first poem, which she used to describe her hair there. So, kind of vague allusions to unearthly beasts inside the machine, if you will, there, but that's not the main gist here. Of course, she's stuck at the ultimate boundary line between her peace. Like this comes off extremely suicidal. Just to be blunt and to the point about it. Return to Earth forevermore if she gives in to her urges, and yeah. But I mean, you can also make some comparisons to her cutting situation, but less direct than the raccoon. I don't think I have too much else to say about this. There is the clear blue sky kind of. I mean, this is less specific than like the thumb and forefinger, but. Let's see, that was... No, it was in Sayori's first one, actually, right? Like just kind of specifically, like, while the sky is blue, things are fine, but if they're not, while the sky's not blue, I could sleep forever, and this has like a extremely similar tone to that poem, really. Just a darker version, like more direct version of it, I would say. This is Yuri's, Iltrius. This is Yuri's on day 3. But it feels like it's got the same sort of emotion and feeling behind it as Sayori's day 1. So that's kind of the interesting thought there. Like, while there's the blue sky, we've got bliss, but when that ends... Now we've got to make our decision to either abandon our peace or return to the Earth forevermore. So I can't say confidently there's like meaning that they're so similar. But this is a big part of why I was afraid for both Sayori and Yuri's life during Loop 1. Natsuki tends to write about more positive things with less subtext, so here's Natsuki's beach poem for day 3 there. I'll be your beach. Your mind is so full of troubles and fears that diminished your wonder over the years. But today I have a special place, a beach for us to go. A shore reaching beyond your sight, a sea that sparkles with brilliant light. The walls in your mind will melt away before the sunny glow. I'll be the beach that washes your worries away. I'll be the beach that you daydream about every day. I'll be the beach that makes your heart leap in a way you thought had left you long ago. Let's bury your heavy thoughts in a pile of sand. Bathe in the sunbeams and hold my hand. Wash your insecurities in the salty sea, and let me see you shine. Let's leave your memories in a footprint trail, set you free in my windy sail, and remember the reasons you're wonderful when you press your lips to mine. I'll be the beach that washes your worries away. I'll be the beach that you daydream about each day. I'll be the beach that makes your heart leap in a way you thought had left you long ago. But if you let me by your side, your own beach, your own escape, you'll learn to love yourself again. So, yeah, this is the, most just, the positive, strong poem in the entire game, by far. It's not even close. It's basically the one. So, this is, part of why, I was kind of under the mindset of keeping Natsuki with other people. She's, basically describing how she can help out people like Sayori and Yuri. So, yeah, I don't know that there's too much to read into it too much. I guess reading it too much is once again looking at, repeated words, right? Bathe was used as the descriptor in Yuri's first poem for under the light here. Bathing under the light, and now you're bathing under sunbeams. Here's again, Ukazu. So, there's not a lot to be read by that per se, but given the fact Yuri's book was titled Markov something, I don't actually remember what the rest of it was, but it had Markov in it, and Markov was a mathematician whose namesake is most known for Markov chains, which are Portrait of Markov. There you go, Layla said. That is kind of putting together things based on their, where their neighboring information, right? So, if this says that sparkles with, and you might be able to, connect it later, sparkles with something other than brilliant. It connects words together in ways. I'm not the best at explaining it, but, semi-randomized, semi-intelligent, reinterpretation or prediction of a body of text, I guess, is kind of a way to think of that a little bit. Yeah, I'm not saying that's super strong, but it's a little suspicious that the book is called Markov, and that it seems like words are reused more than I would expect. From just general body of text, actual different people writing text that could easily be reading too much into it. I'm not we're embracing the fact we could easily be reading way too much into things right now. That's fine. But I think it's at least worth noting. So that's really the only other suspicious thing there. Then the last of the Loop 1 poems here is titled Percentage Sign, and wasn't given in class, just appeared in the pamphlet that Monica had printed up. It wasn't one of Sayori's poems that she read ahead of time, and I guess since we're reading everything, we're gonna do a rendition of this again. All right. Get out of my head. 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 Get out of. Get out of my head. Get out of my head before I do what I know is best for you. Get out of my head before I listen to everything she said to me. Get out of my head before I show you how much I love you. Get out of my head before I finish writing this poem. But a poem is never actually finished. It just stops moving. I mean, I guess that's appropriate music playlist. That's probably about as appropriate as it gets. The gestures were a little more playful, but they were literally getting inside of Garnett's head. So
I guess that is actually pretty appropriate. So this is obviously like, hey, it's over, but this is the most meaningful line, and it was the first time. We didn't like miss it or anything, but still the most meaningful line is, listen to everything she said to me. I mean, this stuff down here is pretty meaningful too, but like Monika had a little talk with Sayori, and then the next day this is her poem submission, and we found her in her room. Yeah. But like, see, this is specifically like interesting because it doesn't necessarily feel like it might not have been written by the same person, you know? Like, this might have just been tacked on. Like, this feels like the natural end to the poem. If I guess it's still a poem. This feels like the natural end to it, and then there's a bunch of spaces, and then this at the end. It's I can't like specifically read too much into it, but it feels like there's heavier weight to these words in general. Like, I'm having a hard time thinking of any specific thing there, but once again, it's self-referencing poetry in general, so poetry is a strong piece of the puzzle, regardless of how you slice it. Yeah, like, it kind of feels like something Monika tacked on or something, which is nothing strong there either way, but it's just, like I said, it just really feels like this is the natural end to the poem, and then this is just kind of ominous addition because Monika already knows the whole situation, right? Anyway, that's the end of Loop 1.